Hey guys, and welcome back. Tonight we journey to the world of feudal Japan, a land of noble samurai, powerful shoguns, and silent, deadly assassins. We often hear the stories of their great battles, of their honor, of their steel. But behind the great stone walls of their castles, there was another world, a silent, beautiful, and deeply competitive world, inhabited entirely by women. You are a concubine in the service of a great lord. You are not a warrior, but your life is a constant, quiet war, fought not with swords, but with silk, with poetry, and with a perfect, painted smile. So before the morning tea ceremony begins, take a moment to like the video and subscribe if you enjoy these quiet journeys into the past. As always, let me know in the comments where you are all listening from. All right, dim the lights. Let the sound of the wind chime be your only guide, and let us step back in time. You awaken not to a sound, but to a change in the quality of the light. The world outside your small, perfect room is still the deep, inky blue of the hour before dawn. But a faint, pale, and silvery light now begins to filter through the paper of your shoji screen, transforming the delicate rice paper from an opaque wall of darkness into a luminous, ghostly canvas. You lie perfectly still on your futon, your body nestled under a heavy silk comforter. In this moment, in this perfect pre-dawn quiet, it is almost possible to believe that you are at peace. Your chamber is a masterpiece of minimalist aesthetic perfection. The air is cool and smells of the clean, dry, grassy scent of the tatami mats that cover the floor. The only decoration is a single, perfect scroll of ink wash painting hanging in the recessed alcove, the tokonoma. It depicts a single lonely crane standing in a misty marsh. You know the feeling. This is your world. This is your cage. It is the Ooku, the great interior, the women's quarters of the great castle, a world that is as separate and as sealed off from the world of men as the moon is from the earth. But the peace is an illusion. The silence is a lie. You are awake now, and so you begin to do what you and every other woman in this beautiful, silent prison does. You begin to listen. Your room is a world of paper. The walls that separate you from the corridor, from the garden, and from the other women are not of stone or wood. They are shoji, delicate lattices of dark polished wood covered in a fine translucent rice paper. They are beautiful. They offer the illusion of privacy, but they do not offer the reality of it. And so, you lie there and you listen to the secret language of the paper walls. You can hear everything. You can hear the soft, almost imperceptible rustle of a silk robe from the room to your left, where Lady Kaede resides. The sound is early, even for this place. It is the sound of ambition. It means she is already awake, already beginning the long, arduous process of her beautification. She is one of your chief rivals. From the room to your right, where the young and recently favored Lady Suki sleeps, you hear a different sound. It is the sound of a soft, suppressed sob, a tiny, almost inaudible catch in the silence. It is the sound of a girl who is beginning to crack under the immense, unspoken pressure of her new position. Her favor with the Lord is a great prize, but it is also a heavy, terrifying burden, and you feel a flicker of pity for her, a feeling that is immediately crushed by a colder, more practical surge of envy. You can hear the soft, padding footsteps of the senior ladies in waiting, the true and ruthless rulers of this female court, as they begin their morning rounds in the corridors. Their voices are never raised, but their whispered commands carry the absolute authority of a general's shout. The paper walls are not walls at all. They are membranes. They are a finely tuned network that transmits every sigh, every whisper, every secret rustle of silk. They create a world where there is no true privacy, where every sound is a piece of information, a clue in the silent, complex, and never-ending war for status and favor. To live in the Oku is to be a master of listening, to be an interpreter of the subtle semantics of silence and of sound. Your first waking thought, every single morning, is a strategic assessment of this battlefield. Who is awake? Who is sick? Who is weeping? Who is in favor? The competition is constant, and it begins here, in the cold, quiet darkness, long before the sun has even risen. You look at the beautiful, serene room around you, at the perfect scroll painting of the lonely crane, and you understand it for what it is. It is a gilded cage. You are a treasure of the great Lord, your father having sent you here as a political offering, a beautiful, living symbol of his loyalty. You are cared for. You are dressed in the finest silks. You eat the most delicate and expensive food. But you are a prisoner. You will likely never see your family again. You will never walk freely in a field or a forest. Your entire world, for the rest of your life, is this silent, beautiful, and deeply competitive labyrinth of paper walls. And your only hope for any kind of advancement, for any measure of security or power in this place, is to win the fleeting and often capricious attention of a single man. Your master, the daimyo. A small bronze bell rings in the distance, its single clear and beautiful note a signal that the morning has officially begun. The brief, tense, and silent peace of the dawn is over. It is time to rise. It is time to begin the long, arduous process of constructing the beautiful, perfect, and competitive woman you must be for the day. You push the heavy silk comforter aside and rise from your futon into the cold morning air. The silent war has begun. The sound of the morning bell, a single clear note of bronze, hangs in the cold, still air and then fades, leaving a silence that is now filled with a new and urgent sense of purpose. The brief, private truce of the dawn is over. You rise from your futon, your movements already becoming the slow, graceful, and deliberately measured gestures of your station. The woman who was just a moment ago a collection of sleepy thoughts and quiet anxieties must now begin the long and arduous process of becoming a work of art. You do not dress yourself. To do so would be an admission of a lack of status. A lady of your rank is an object to be attended to, a precious instrument that must be prepared for the day by lesser hands. You kneel on a silk cushion in the center of your chamber, your back perfectly straight, a silent and patient statue, and you wait. The shoji screen to your room slides open with a soft, rustling sound. It is your personal handmaiden, a young girl named Kiku. She is the daughter of a minor samurai family, sent here to the Ooku to serve you, and in doing so, to learn the intricate and unforgiving arts of being a court lady. Her own future, her own chances of a good match are tied to your success. She is your servant, your student, and in many ways, your most important and most intimate tool. She enters the room, her steps silent on the tatami mats, and performs a deep, flawless bow, her forehead touching the floor. She does not speak. She simply waits for your command. You give a single, slight nod. The day's construction begins. First, the purification. Kiku brings a small, black lacquer basin and a porcelain ewer of cool, clean water, scented with the faint, delicate fragrance of cherry blossoms. She pours the water over a soft linen cloth and presents it to you. You take it and perform your morning ablutions, wiping the last traces of sleep from your face, your neck, and your hands. It is a simple, refreshing, and deeply ritualized act. Now, the first layers. You are clad only in a simple, thin linen undergarment. Kiku brings the first piece of your daily armor. It is the harajuban, a simple underrobe of the softest, whitest silk. Its purpose is purely functional, to lie against your skin, to absorb any perspiration and to protect the more valuable and delicate outer layers from the oils of your body. She helps you into it, its silk a cool, smooth caress against your skin. Next comes the true foundation of your attire, the nagajuban. This is a garment of far greater beauty and importance. It is a long underkimono made of a fine crimson silk, printed with a delicate pattern of golden fans and falling maple leaves. It is a beautiful garment, more vibrant and personal than the formal kimono that will eventually cover it. This is your secret beauty, a flash of color and pattern that will only be glimpsed in the brief, fleeting moment that you move, a subtle hint of the personality that lies hidden beneath the formal public facade. But the most crucial feature of the nagajuban is its collar. Sewn onto the neckline are three separate, overlapping collars of different colored silks, a layer of pale pink, a layer of soft lavender, a layer of deep indigo. This is the datary, the layered collar, and its perfect arrangement is one of the most important and most critically judged aspects of your entire appearance. Kiku ties the nagajuban in place with a series of thin, flat, silk ribbons called koshihimo. There are no buttons, no hooks. Your entire costume will be held together by a complex and precise system of knots. She wraps the first koshihimo around your waist and pulls it tight, her movements firm and practiced. The goal is not to cinch your waist into an hourglass shape, as the European ladies do. The ideal of beauty in your world is a smooth, straight, and almost cylindrical silhouette, a shape that de-emphasizes the curves of the female form. With each ribbon that is tied, you feel your body being gently but firmly molded into this ideal, your natural shape being suppressed, disciplined into a perfect, graceful column. You are not a passive doll in this process. You are the chief engineer of your own construction. You watch Kiku's work with a hawk's eye in the reflection of the polished bronze mirror she has placed before you. The third collar, Kiku, you say, your voice a low, quiet command. It is a fraction too high. It is competing with the indigo. Lower it. Kiku freezes, and a flicker of fear passes through her eyes. She bows her head in apology, and with trembling fingers, she begins the delicate and difficult process of adjusting the intricate folds of the collars at your neck. You watch, your expression impassive. You know that when you enter the main hall later this morning, your rivals, the other concubines, will not be looking at your face. They will be looking at your neck. They will be judging the perfect, harmonious, and exquisitely balanced arrangement of these thin, colored lines of sync. A single misplaced fold, a line that is a fraction of an inch too high or too low, will be seen as a sign of sloppiness, of a lack of discipline, of a flaw in your perfection. And in the silent, vicious, and beautiful war of the Ooku, a single, tiny flaw can be a fatal weakness. She finishes her adjustment. The lines are now perfect, a beautiful, striped rainbow of silk that frames your neck. You give a small, satisfied nod. The foundation is laid. You are now encased in several layers of the finest silk. Your body has been molded into the correct, graceful, and unnatural shape. You are a prepared canvas. You are ready for the first and most dramatic application of paint, the flawless white mask that will erase your human face and replace it with the face of a work of art. You are a column of crimson and white silk, your body already bound and shaped into the correct, elegant, and unnatural form. The foundation is laid, but the most important and most dramatic transformation is yet to come. Your face, the face of a mortal woman with its subtle imperfections and its traitorous ability to show emotion, must now be completely erased and replaced with the perfect, serene, and impassive mask of a work of art. You kneel on your silk cushion, your back perfectly straight, and you stare at your own reflection in the dim, polished surface of the bronze mirror. You see a young woman, her skin clean, her expression a mixture of fatigue and a deep, practiced resignation. This person must now vanish. Your handmaiden Kiku approaches. Her movements are now even more deliberate, more reverent. She is no longer just a servant, dressing you. She is now an artist, and you are her precious. Living canvas, the creation of the white face is the highest and most difficult of her arts. The process begins not with paint, but with a primer. Kiku opens a small porcelain pot that contains a substance called binsuke abura. It is a hard, waxy pomade, a special oil that she must first soften over the heat of a small candle. She takes the warm, slightly greasy wax on her fingertips and begins to apply it to your skin. She covers your face, your neck, your ears, and the upper part of your chest and back in a thin, sticky, and slightly taut layer. This is the foundation. It is the surface upon which the masterpiece will be painted. A base that will hold the white powder in place for the long day ahead. Next, Kiku prepares the oshiroi, the white face paint itself. In a small bowl, she mixes a fine, brilliantly white powder with a small amount of water, stirring it with a thin wooden stick until it becomes a smooth, liquid paste, the consistency of cream. You know that the finest, most expensive oshiroi is made from powdered rice, and you also know that for the most brilliant, most durable, and most perfectly opaque finish, a small amount of a heavier, more dangerous white powder is often mixed in. White lead, the same poison used by the ladies of the European courts, has found its way here, a secret and toxic ingredient in the pursuit of perfect, deathly pallor. With the paste prepared, Kiku takes up her tool. It is not a soft powder puff. It is a wide, flat brush made of soft animal hair, a painter's brush for a painter's work. She dips it into the white liquid paste. "My lady," she whispers, a quiet command for you to close your eyes and become still. You feel the first, cool, wet touch of the brush on your forehead. She begins to paint. Her strokes are long, smooth, and even, the work of a skilled calligrapher. She applies the white liquid paste to your entire face, from your hairline down to your jaw. She covers your eyelids, your ears, your neck. Every visible inch of your skin is being methodically, systematically, and completely erased beneath this cool, wet, and opaque blanket of white. This is not makeup. It is a mask. Its purpose is not to enhance your features, but to obliterate them. A beautiful face, in your world, is a face that shows no emotion, no imperfection, no sign of the turbulent, messy reality of being a human. It is a face that has been transformed into a serene, doll-like, and utterly unreadable surface. Kiku works with an intense, quiet concentration. The layer of white must be perfectly uniform, with no streaks, no blotches. As the paste begins to dry, it tightens on your skin, a familiar, constricting sensation. It feels as though you are wearing a thin, cool, and delicate layer of fine plaster. You know that for the rest of the day, your ability to show emotion will be physically limited. To laugh too widely, to frown too deeply, would be to risk cracking the perfect porcelain surface of your own face. Your emotions are now, quite literally, hidden beneath a mask. The most important and most artistic part of the application is the neckline. The white paint is not applied down to the collar of your kimono. That would be crude. Instead, Kiku uses the edge of her brush to create a very specific and beautiful shape on the nape of your neck. She leaves a small, unpainted patch of your own natural skin showing. It is a shape of 2 or 3 sharp, elegant points, called ariashi, designed to accentuate the length of your neck. This small, tantalizing glimpse of the real skin beneath the mask is considered the height of elegance and allure. It is a deliberate and sophisticated act of artifice, a small, intimate secret in the midst of a grand public deception. It is a quiet declaration that this perfect white face is indeed a mask, and that a real, living woman is hidden somewhere beneath it. When the application is complete, Kiku takes a soft, damp cloth and carefully blots the entire surface, removing any excess moisture and blending the edges, creating a final, perfect, porcelain-like finish. She holds the bronze mirror up for you once more. You look at your reflection. The young, tired woman from this morning is completely gone. In her place is a creature of pure, serene, and almost terrifying perfection. Your face is a smooth, white, and emotionless canvas, a perfect oval of pure, idealized beauty, punctuated only by the subtle, alluring shape of the bare skin on the back of your neck. You have been successfully transformed from a person into an object of art. And now, upon this blank, beautiful, and silent canvas, the final, delicate, and expressive details, the false eyebrows and the painted lips, can be created. Your face is now a perfect, flawless, and emotionless white mask. The canvas is prepared. But a blank canvas, however perfect, is not a work of art. It is a void. Now, the final, most delicate, and most expressive details must be painted onto this stark, white surface. These are the small, precise touches of black and red that will transform you from a simple, doll-like effigy into a true and breathtaking vision of courtly beauty. The first and most important of these details are the eyebrows. In the aesthetic of your world, your own natural eyebrows are considered ugly, coarse, and far too expressive. They are a vulgar testament to your true, mortal emotions, capable of knitting in worry or rising in surprise. Such raw, uncontrolled expression is anathema to the serene, placid ideal of noble beauty, and so they must be completely erased. Your handmaiden, Kiku, now approaches with the tools for this strange and delicate art. She holds a small, sharp bronze razor. This is not the first time you have endured this. Weeks ago, when you were first brought to the Ooku, your natural eyebrows were completely shaved away. Your daily duty now is to maintain that perfect, blank smoothness. With a steady hand, Kiku carefully shaves away the faint, dark stubble that has grown overnight, leaving the skin of your brow as smooth, as white, and as empty as the rest of your face. Now that the natural has been erased, the artificial can be created. Kiku takes a small, dark stick of hardened charcoal ink. She does not draw new eyebrows where your old ones used to be. That would be far too low, too close to your eyes, creating a look that is considered brutish and animalistic. Instead, she moves much higher up on your forehead, almost to your hairline. And here, she begins to paint. She does not draw the realistic eyebrow. She paints a beautiful, abstract, and entirely artificial symbol. They are called hikimayu. They are two small, thick, and perfectly symmetrical smudges of black ink high on your forehead, like two dark, sleepy thumbprints. They are not meant to look like hair. They are a pure, stylized representation of an eyebrow, a piece of living calligraphy on the canvas of your face. Their high placement creates the illusion of a vast, serene, and intelligent brow. Their soft, smudged shape is one of permanent, gentle surprise and placid acceptance. They are the perfect, unchangeable expression for a woman whose own expressions must be perfectly and constantly controlled. With the strange, beautiful, and artificial eyebrows in place, the final and most dramatic detail is all that remains: the lips. Kiku takes a small porcelain pot. Inside is a brilliant crimson paste. It is beni, a traditional cosmetic made from the petals of the safflower. But the most prized and expensive beni is not just a simple red. When it is made in a certain way, it has an iridescent greenish sheen in the pot, a sign of its purity and potency. She takes up a tiny, fine-tipped brush. The ideal of beauty for a woman's mouth is not a full, wide, and generous smile. It is a small, delicate, and perfectly formed bud. Your own lips, therefore, must be mostly erased, and a new, smaller, more perfect mouth must be painted in their place. First, Kiku takes the white oshiroi paste on a small cloth and carefully, precisely, paints over the outer edges of your natural lips, making them disappear into the white mask of your face. Your mouth is now visually much smaller than it truly is. Then she takes the fine-tipped brush, dips it into the brilliant crimson beni, and begins to paint the new mouth. She does not fill in your entire lips. She paints a small, delicate, and perfectly symmetrical shape in the very center of your mouth. A shape like a small, unopened flower bud, or a perfect, tiny red bow. The color is a shocking, brilliant slash of vibrant life in the midst of the serene, white landscape of your face. It is a symbol of a small, contained, and perfectly controlled passion. The work is now complete. You are no longer just a blank canvas. You are a finished painting. Kiku holds the bronze mirror before you once more. The woman who looks back at you is a creature of pure, breathtaking, and almost terrifying artifice. Her face is a perfect, white, and emotionless mask. High on her forehead float two dark, dreamy, and entirely artificial eyebrows. And in the center of her face, her small, brilliantly red, and perfectly painted mouth is a single, shocking point of color and life. You have been successfully transformed. You are no longer a person. You are an idea. You are the living embodiment of the medieval Japanese ideal of feminine beauty. Serene, silent, controlled, and as perfect and as inhuman as a painted porcelain doll. The long, painful, and meticulous construction of your public self is finished, and now you must be placed within your final, magnificent silk cage. Your face is a perfect, white, and emotionless canvas, a work of art that has been meticulously painted with the abstract symbols of aristocratic beauty. The transformation of your head is complete. Now, the body must be similarly remade. It must be encased in the final, magnificent, and breathtakingly restrictive armor that is your formal court attire. This is not the act of getting dressed. It is the act of being enshrined. You stand in the center of the room, a still and patient figure in your layered silk underrobes, as your handmaiden, Kiku, approaches with the first of the many layers to come. The goal of this process is not to clothe your body, but to erase it. The soft, mortal, and imperfect curves of your female form are to be completely hidden, replaced by a magnificent, multi-layered, and almost architectural silhouette. You are not to be a woman. You are to be a beautiful, elegant, and abstract shape, a walking poem of color and texture. The theme for your attire today, chosen by you after hours of quiet contemplation last night, is Winter Plum. It is a theme of resilience, of beauty that blossoms in the cold, a subtle and poetic message of your own quiet strength that you hope the Lord, a man of culture, will notice and appreciate. Kiku brings the first of the uchigi, the unlined silk robes. There are 5 of them, laid one on top of the other, a cascade of color. Each is a different shade of plum and winter blossom. A deep royal purple, a softer, duskier lavender, a pale, almost white lilac, a gentle rose pink, and a final, brilliant cherry blossom crimson. These are your layers of color. You hold your arms out straight, like the crossbeam of a temple gate. The process begins. Kiku takes the first, deepest purple robe and drapes it over your shoulders. She does not tie it shut. She simply arranges it, ensuring it hangs perfectly. Then comes the lavender, laid perfectly over the purple. Then the lilac, then the pink, then the crimson. You are being wrapped in a cocoon of pure, whispering silk. The skill of the dresser is in the perfect alignment. Kiku works with the intense focus of a master painter. The edge of each of the 5 robes must be perfectly visible at your neckline and at the wide openings of your sleeves, creating a beautiful, striped cascade of graduated color. It is a rainbow of a single, poetic idea. With each layer that is added, the garment grows heavier, the weight on your shoulders more pronounced. The silk, which individually felt almost weightless, has now, in unison, become a substantial, heavy presence. Over these 5 layers comes the uwagi, the outer robe. It is of a thicker, more brilliant silk, a deep imperial crimson, and it is embroidered with a magnificent, intricate pattern of white cranes, symbols of luck and longevity, flying through a grove of blossoming plum trees. It is a masterpiece of the weaver's art, a story told in silk and thread. The final layer of the robes is the karaginu, a shorter, jacket-like garment of a stiff, brocaded silk. Its pattern, a geometric design in gold thread that adds a final, formal, and architectural layer to the entire ensemble. You are now wearing 8 layers of the finest silk. You are a magnificent, multi-hued vision of courtly elegance. Your human form is completely gone, replaced by a great, triangular shape of color and texture. But the construction is not yet complete. The entire, magnificent, and impossibly heavy creation must now be bound together. Kiku approaches with the obi. It is not the soft sash of a common woman. It is a wide, stiff, and incredibly long band of the heaviest silk brocade. Its pattern a complex and beautiful design of golden clouds against a black sky. This is the great and final instrument of your constriction. You hold your breath. Kiku begins to wrap the obi around your torso, over all the 8 layers of silk. She pulls it tight, her movements strong and sure. She wraps it around, and with each pass, the pressure on your ribs and your stomach intensifies. She is not just securing your clothes. She is binding you, compressing the many layers into a single, unified, and rigid column. The air is driven from your lungs. Your ability to breathe is now permanently reduced to the shallow, bird-like sips that your constricted torso will allow. Kiku finishes by tying the obi at your back in a great, complex, and beautiful butterfly knot. The knot itself is a work of art, but it is also a final, unyielding lock upon your silk cage. You are now complete. You are a perfect, beautiful, and almost completely immobilized work of art. The weight of the dozen layers of silk is a constant, heavy presence. A significant amount of heat is already trapped between the layers, a stuffy, personal climate that is a world away from the cool air of the room. Your movements are now dictated entirely by your clothing. You must walk with a tiny, shuffling, gliding step. For to lift your feet too high would be a vulgarity and would risk upsetting the perfect drape of the robes. You cannot raise your arms more than a few inches. You cannot bend at the waist. You turn, a slow and deliberate pivot, and you look at your reflection in the bronze mirror. You see a vision of almost impossible elegance. The perfect white mask of your face emerges from the beautiful, cascading rainbow of the layered collars. The great, dark mass of your hair is a perfect sculptural crown. Your body is a magnificent triangular mountain of crimson and gold. You are the embodiment of Japanese beauty, and you are a prisoner. You feel a surge of professional pride in the sheer, breathtaking perfection of the image. Your rivals will not be able to find a single flaw in the color, the texture, or the form. This is your armor, And as you feel the tight, relentless grip of the obi around your ribs, you are reminded that this beautiful armor is also a cage. You are ready for the war of the day. You are a magnificent, multi-layered sculpture of silk, a living work of art from the neck down. The construction of your body's glorious and restrictive cage is complete. But the masterpiece is not yet finished. The final, and perhaps most important, element of your physical identity must now be addressed. It is the crowning glory of your beauty, the ultimate symbol of your femininity and high birth, and the subject of its own long, arduous, and painful ritual. It is your hair. In the world of the court, a woman's hair is her greatest and most treasured asset. The ideal is absolute. It must be long, perfectly straight, and as black and as lustrous as a moonless midnight sky. It is the product of a lifetime of meticulous care, a testament to a life of leisure so profound that you have never had to perform a single practical task that might require you to cut it short. Your own hair is a magnificent cascade of black silk that, when unbound, falls all the way to the floor. It is your pride, and now it must be tamed. You sit on a low stool, your back to your handmaiden Kiku. The process begins not with styling, but with combing. It is a long, meditative, and almost religious ritual. Kiku takes up the first of several specialized boxwood combs, its teeth wide and smooth. She begins at the very ends of your immense length of hair, gently, patiently, working out the small tangles of the night. She works her way upwards, inch by painstaking inch, her movements slow and reverent. To rush this process would be to risk snagging and breaking a single precious hair, an act of unforgivable carelessness. After an hour of this gentle detangling, your hair is a single, smooth, and impossibly long curtain of black silk. Now, the true architectural work begins. Kiku brings forward the tools of her craft, laying them out on a clean white cloth. There are more combs, of different sizes and fineness. There are long, sharp, and beautifully decorated hairpins, the kanzashi, some of simple bone for structure, others of lacquered wood and jade for pure ornament. There are lengths of stiff, waxed paper cord called motoi, and there is the most important tool of all, a round wooden pot containing a hard, waxy pomade. It is the same binsuke abura that was used as a primer for your makeup, and now it will be used as the structural glue for your hair. Kiku takes the small amount of the hard wax and warms it between her hands until it is soft and pliable. She then takes the first section of your hair and begins to work the wax into it, from the root to the tip. The wax makes the hair stiff, slightly greasy, and gives it a high, polished sheen, the wet look that is the pinnacle of courtly elegance. The process is slow and laborious. She takes your hair, section by section, and coats it in the wax. Then, the sculpting begins. She is not creating a soft, romantic style. She is creating a piece of architecture. She pulls a section of hair from the side of your head, pulling it so taut that you can feel a sharp, pulling, and deeply uncomfortable sensation on your scalp. She loops this section up and back, creating a stiff, wing-like shape. She ties it in place with a paper motoi, and then anchors it with a long, sharp bone pin, which you can feel digging into the tight bun at the base of your skull. She repeats this process on the other side, creating a perfect, symmetrical, wing-like structure of hair that frames your painted face. The rest of your great length of hair is then looped, folded, and tied into a series of intricate and beautiful knots at the back of your head, a complex and heavy sculptural form that is also anchored with a dozen more sharp pins. The process is a form of quiet, intimate torture. The constant, relentless pulling of your hair creates a low-grade, persistent headache that settles at the base of your skull. The weight of the waxed, pinned, and sculpted hair is immense, but you do not move. You do not complain. You sit as still as a stone statue, your face the same serene, impassive mask it has been all morning. You understand that this pain is part of the performance. A perfectly sculpted, utterly immobile hairstyle is a sign of a woman's discipline, of her ability to endure any discomfort for the sake of perfect beauty and propriety. Your headache is a testament to your virtue. Finally, after nearly 2 hours of this painstaking work, it is complete. The final decorative kanzashi are slid into place, their carved jade and coral ornaments a splash of color against the dark, shining sculpture of your hair. Kiku holds the bronze mirror before you. You look at your reflection. The transformation is absolute. Your head is no longer the head of a woman. It is a magnificent, perfect, and entirely artificial creation. It is crowned with a heavy, black, shining, and almost architectural sculpture of hair. The clean, sharp lines of the hairstyle perfectly complement the serene, white mask of your face. You are a perfect porcelain doll from head to toe. A masterpiece of artifice and a testament to your own silent endurance. You have been successfully and completely built. The long, private, and painful hours of construction are over. Now, the finished work of art must be moved from the private workshop of your chamber and onto the public, and far more dangerous, stage of the oku. You are a finished masterpiece. The long, private, and painful hours of construction are complete. The woman you were upon waking has been so thoroughly erased that you can no longer recall her face. In her place is this magnificent, silent, and entirely artificial creature, a living doll of silk, paint, and perfectly sculpted hair. You have been built. Now you must be presented. Your first public appearance of the day is not before the Lord. It is a far more intimate, and in many ways, a more dangerous and more important ritual. It is the formal morning greeting to the Midai Dokoro, the great lord's official wife. She is the absolute and unquestioned ruler of this female world, the sun around which all the lesser planets and moons of the Oku must orbit. You hear the soft resonant sound of a small bronze bell, the signal that the time has come. You take a final, shallow breath, a sip of air that barely fills the top of your lungs, and you rise. Your movements are a slow, gliding, and deeply unnatural shuffle, a way of walking that is dictated by the immense weight and restriction of your 12-layered kimono. You slide open the paper shoji screen of your chamber and step out into the main corridor of the women's quarters. The corridor is a long, beautiful, and silent space. The polished dark wood of the floor gleams in the soft, indirect light from the garden courtyards. The air smells of old, fragrant wood, of tatami, and of the subtle, competing perfumes of the other women. You are not alone. From the other identical paper-walled rooms, the other concubines are emerging. It is a silent, beautiful, and deeply tense procession. You see your rival, the ambitious Lady Kaede, her kimono a symphony of deep, wintry blues. You see the young, recently favored Lady Suki, her face a perfect porcelain mask that betrays none of the weeping you heard from her room this morning. No one speaks. No one makes eye contact. To do so would be a breach of the perfect, serene, and deeply hostile etiquette of this place. You are rivals in a silent, deadly war, and this is the morning parade where the weapons, the perfection of your makeup, the harmony of your kimono's colors, the flawlessness of your posture are put on display for all to see. You proceed down the long, silent corridor to the main audience chamber of the Oku. It is the largest and most magnificent room in this entire wing of the castle. The tatami mats here are new. The wooden beams of the ceiling are intricately carved, and the great painted screen at the far end of the room depicts a magnificent golden dragon, the symbol of the Lord's power. At the head of the room, seated on a single, thick silk cushion on a slightly raised dais, is the Midday Dokoro. She is a woman of immense, quiet, and terrifying power. And today, she will be your judge. You and the other women file into the room, your movements silent, your feet making no sound on the mats. You do not choose where to sit. Your place is rigidly determined by your rank, by your family's status, and most importantly, by the current level of the Lord's favor. The most favored concubines kneel closest to the dais. The newest and least important are at the very back. You, as a woman of some standing, but not the current favorite, take your designated place in the middle of the room, a position of both comfort and deep, frustrating mediocrity. You kneel, arranging your magnificent, heavy robes around you in a perfect, prescribed circle, and you wait. When every woman is in her place, a senior lady in waiting, the chief administrator of the Ogu, gives a single, sharp clap. It is the signal. In a single, unified, and perfectly synchronized motion, the 50 women in the room sink forward into a deep, formal bow, the dogeza. You lower your body until your forehead is pressed firmly against the cool, smooth, grassy surface of the tatami mat. The scent of the clean straw fills your nostrils. And then, there is only silence. This is the heart of the ritual. It is a moment of absolute unquestioning and sustained submission. You must remain in this position, your body a low, reverent shape on the floor, for what feels like an eternity. The only sound is the almost inaudible rustle of silk. This is a moment of pure, concentrated psychological tension. You know that while your own face is hidden, the eyes of the official wife and her senior ladies are sweeping over the room, inspecting you. They are looking for any flaw. A single hair out of place in your elaborate coiffure, a single wrinkle in the back of your kimono, a bow that is not deep enough. Any imperfection is a sign of disrespect, a crack in the perfect, disciplined facade of the court, and it will be noted, remembered, and punished later. As you kneel on the floor, your mind is not at rest. It is a sharp, analytical instrument gathering data. You are intensely aware of the women around you, even without seeing them. You can smell the expensive, sandalwood-based perfume of Lady Kaide, kneeling a few feet to your left. You can sense your own position in the room, and you are mentally calculating the subtle shifts in the hierarchy. You remember that last month, Lady Chio was kneeling 2 places ahead of you. Today, she is 1 place behind. You know, without a single word being spoken, that her favor with the Lord is waning. The silent geography of this room is the only newspaper that matters in your world. After a long, tense, and utterly silent moment, the official wife finally speaks. Her voice is a soft, almost imperceptible whisper, a single word of acknowledgement. It is the signal of dismissal. In another, perfectly synchronized movement, you and the other 50 women rise from your bow. Your movement slow, graceful, and controlled. You do not stand. You remain kneeling, and you begin to shuffle backwards, out of the room, your eyes always fixed on the floor. To turn your back on the Midai Dokoro would be an act of unthinkable rudeness. You finally reach the corridor. The paper screen slides shut behind you. The first and most politically important ritual of your day is complete. You have successfully performed your submission. You have survived the silent, critical judgment of your female superiors and your bitterest rivals. A great wave of relief washes over you. But it is a cold and fleeting thing. The morning's great tension is over, but it is immediately replaced by the long empty. and equally stressful expanse of the rest of the day. A day that will be spent in endless, elegant, and fiercely competitive lessons, all while you wait and hope and pray for a summons from the only person in this castle whose opinion can truly change your life. The morning greeting is over. You had successfully performed your absolute submission to the authority of the Midai Dokoro, the Lord's official wife. You have survived the first silent, critical judgment of your day. Now, the long, empty, and deceptively peaceful expanse of the day begins. But it is not a day of leisure. It is a day of intense and demanding work. Your work, however, is not of the body, but of the spirit. It is the endless, competitive, and utterly exhausting work of cultivating perfect elegance. You and the other mid-ranking concubines are led to one of the largest and most beautiful chambers in the Ooku, the Hall of the Seven Arts. It is a vast, quiet, and serene space. The tatami mat floors are the color of pale gold. The paper walls are painted with a single, continuous, and breathtakingly beautiful landscape of misty mountains and serene lakes. The air smells of clean straw, of old wood, and of the faint, sharp scent of black ink. This is your schoolroom. This is your training ground. This is your battlefield. You are a concubine. You are not expected to understand politics or warfare. You are not expected to have practical skills. Your value, your entire worth in this world, is measured by a single metric: your level of cultural refinement. Your ability to write a perfect line of poetry, to arrange a single flower with profound meaning, to perform the tea ceremony with a flawless, meditative grace. These are not your hobbies. They are your weapons. They are the tools you must use to capture the attention and the heart of the great Lord, the man who is the absolute master of your universe. The day is a series of lessons, a curriculum of beauty. Your first master is a stern, ancient woman, a famous calligrapher brought to the castle to instruct the Lord's women. She does not teach you to write letters or to keep accounts. She teaches you the art of shodo, the way of the brush. You kneel before a low, black lacquer table. Before you are the four treasures of the study: a heavy black inkstone, a solid rectangular inkstick, a brush made of soft weasel hair with a bamboo handle, and a single, perfect sheet of white rice paper. The work begins with a meditation. You must grind the ink. You place a few drops of clean, cool water onto the inkstone, and you begin to rub the inkstick in a slow, patient, circular motion. The only sound in the vast, silent room is the soft, rhythmic scraping sound of a dozen inksticks on a dozen stones. The goal is not just to make ink. It is to quiet your mind, to make your spirit as smooth, as black, and as fluid as the ink you are creating. Then, the lesson. The master paints a single kanji character on a sheet of paper, the character for winter, and you must replicate it. It is a test of absolute precision and control. You take up your brush, you hold your breath, and you paint. A single misplaced stroke, a moment of hesitation that leaves a black blot, a line that is too thick or too thin, and the entire character is ruined. Your calligraphy is seen as a direct and honest reflection of your soul. A steady, graceful line is the sign of a serene and disciplined spirit. A shaky, flawed line is a sign of a restless and imperfect one. You look at your own work, and then you risk a glance at the work of your rival, Lady Katie. Her character is, as always, perfect. A fresh, hot wave of competitive anxiety washes over you. The second lesson of the day is Ikebana, the way of the flower. You are not given a great bouquet of blossoms to arrange. You are given a simple, shallow bronze bowl, a heavy, spiked flower holder called a kenzan, and a single, stark, and beautiful branch of blossoming winter plum. Your task is to create a universe of meaning with these three elements. This is not simply putting a flower in a vase. It is a deep and philosophical art. The master, a quiet man with the serene face of a Buddhist monk, explains the principles. The longest branch represents heaven. The shortest branch represents the earth. The middle branch represents man. You must arrange them in a perfect, harmonious, and asymmetrical balance. You spend an hour in silent, focused contemplation, trimming a single leaf, adjusting the angle of the main branch by a fraction of an inch. Your goal is to create not just a beautiful object, but a silent, visual poem about the beauty and the sorrow of a single, perfect thing. The master judges your work not on its prettiness, but on its balance, its grace, and the depth of the emotion it evokes. The final lesson is the most difficult and the most revered of all. It is the chonoyu, the tea ceremony. You enter a different, smaller room, the tea house, a place of rustic and deliberate simplicity. The ritual is a long, slow, and incredibly precise performance. Every single movement you make is a piece of an ancient, unchanging, and sacred choreography. The way you fold the red silk cloth, the fukusa, to purify the tea scoop, the precise 3.5 turns you must make with the tea bowl to present its most beautiful side to the guest. The way you must hold the bamboo whisk, the chasen, and whip the green tea powder and hot water into a perfect, frothy jade green foam. The purpose of this ritual is to achieve a state of pure, simple, and transient harmony, a state of mind known as wabi-sabi. But the pursuit of this effortless tranquility is the most stressful and demanding task of all. You are performing the ceremony under the critical, watchful eye of the tea master. A single clumsy movement, a moment of forgetfulness, a sound that is too loud, any of these would be a sign of a restless and unrefined mind. You must be a perfect, graceful, and silent machine of tranquility. The long day of lessons finally ends. You are mentally and spiritually exhausted. You have spent hours in a state of the most intense and focused concentration. You have created beautiful things, a perfect line of calligraphy, a sublime flower arrangement, a flawless bowl of tea. But you have felt no moment of genuine personal creative joy. It has all been a performance. It has all been a strategic exercise in the art of being the perfect, the most cultured, the most disciplined, and the most desirable woman in the oku. You have spent your day honing your weapons for a battle that you do not know when or if you will be allowed to fight. And the long, empty afternoon of waiting for a summons stretches before you. A silent, beautiful, and terrifying void. The long, grueling, and intensely focused lessons of the morning are complete. You have successfully demonstrated your mastery of the refined arts. Your hands are stained with a faint trace of black ink. Your mind is a quiet echo of ancient poetry. And your spirit is weary from the sheer, sustained effort of achieving perfection. The afternoon is a different kind of trial. It is a time of supposed leisure. You and the other ladies of the oku are permitted to gather in the eastern veranda, a beautiful, covered walkway that overlooks the Lord's private garden. The setting is a masterpiece of serene and calculated beauty. The polished, dark wood of the veranda floor is cool beneath your feet. The air is fragrant with the scent of damp moss, of pine needles, and of the single, perfect winter plum tree that is just beginning to show its first brave blossoms. The only sound is the gentle, rhythmic thump, clack of a bamboo water feature, a shishiodashi, in the garden below. It is a scene of perfect, meditative tranquility, and it is the most dangerous battlefield in the entire castle. The morning's lessons were a test of your skill. The afternoon is a test of your wit, your nerve, and your ability to survive the subtle, silent, and deeply poisonous warfare of courtly conversation. You are seated on a silk cushion, pretending to admire the garden, when your chief rival, Lady Kaede, glides over to you. Her movements are a study in perfect, fluid grace. Her magnificent kimono, a pattern of winter camellias against a snowy white background, rustles softly on the wooden floor. She kneels beside you, arranging her own vast skirts with a practiced elegance. Her face, her perfect, white, and emotionless mask, turns to you, and her small, red-painted lips curve into a flawless smile. "Your calligraphy this morning was most impressive, Lady Aneko," she says, using your formal name. Her voice is a soft, musical, and beautiful sound. "You are too kind, Lady Kaede," you reply, your own voice a quiet murmur, your eyes modestly downcast. "My hand was clumsy today. I was not pleased with my final stroke." This is the required language of humility, a ritual you both understand. "Not at all," she insists, her smile never wavering. The character for Winter had a beautiful, lonely strength. The strength of a great pine on a windswept cliff, perhaps. You incline your head, a gesture of thanks for the compliment. But you know, with a cold certainty, that it is not a compliment. It is the first move in a deadly game. It is the first, smooth, black stone being placed on the great invisible go-board of your conversation. A pine tree is strong, yes, but it is also rigid. It is stubborn. It is unyielding. She is calling you unfeminine. You must now place your own stone. To ignore the remark would be to cede territory. To react with anger would be a catastrophic loss of face. You must respond in the same coded, poetic language. "Your own character for Moon was a thing of sublime beauty, my lady," you say, your voice soft and full of a practiced admiration. "It had the delicate, transient grace of the first snow, a beauty that is all the more precious for its fragility." Her smile tightens, almost imperceptibly. You have just returned her serve. "First snow is beautiful, yes, but it is also weak. It is temporary. It melts and disappears in an instant." You have just called her weak and fleeting. The game continues. The conversation is a beautiful, intricate dance of poetic allusions and veiled insults. A duel fought not with sharp steel, but with even sharper words. "I hear your brother has distinguished himself in the Lord's recent campaign in the north," she says, her tone one of innocent admiration. On the surface, she is praising your family, but you both know that your brother's success elevates your own status in the court, a fact she is now forced to acknowledge. Her move is a reluctant concession of a small piece of territory. "The gods have been kind to my family," you reply, the humble answer that protocol demands. "They have indeed," she says, her voice still a sweet melody. "It is a great comfort to have such strong masculine protection. We women, in our small, quiet world, must rely on the strength of our men, must we not?" It is another subtle, brilliant attack. She is reminding you that your status is a borrowed thing, a reflection of the achievements of the men in your family. Her own father, you know, is a powerful minister in the Lord's council. She is reminding you that her own power is derived from the world of politics, a world of the mind, which is considered more refined than the crude, bloody world of the warrior. The mental effort required to navigate this conversation is immense. You must be a poet, a strategist, and an actress, all at once. You must listen to her words, decode the hidden meaning, formulate a reply that is both perfectly polite on the surface and a sharp, effective countermove underneath. And you must deliver it all with a face that is a mask of serene, untroubled calm. It is the most exhausting work you will ever do. You look at the beautiful, tranquil garden before you. You see the carefully raked sand, the artfully placed rocks, the twisted form of the ancient pine tree. It is a world of perfect man-made harmony. And you see that it is a perfect reflection of the world you inhabit. Your world, too, is one of perfect artificial harmony on the surface, but beneath it is a landscape of ruthless, silent, and unending competition. Lady Kaede gives a final, perfect, and utterly insincere smile. "I have enjoyed our talk, my lady," she says. She rises, a whisper of silk, and glides away, leaving you alone on the veranda. You are left feeling drained, anxious, and deeply, profoundly tired. You replay every word of the conversation in your mind, every nuance, every subtle shift in tone. Did you win? Did you lose? Did you hold your own? You do not know. There are no clear victories or defeats in this silent, beautiful, and deeply poisonous war of words. There is only the constant, stressful, and unending struggle for position. The silent, verbal duel with Lady Kaede has left a bitter taste in your mouth. You retreat to the quiet solitude of your own chamber for a time. The beautiful, serene garden outside your paper screen now seeming like a cold and hostile landscape. The afternoon is a long, slow, and empty expanse of time, a desert of quiet and elegant boredom that you must cross. You practice your calligraphy. You read a few lines from a scroll of ancient poetry, but your mind is not on these things. Your mind is on the coming evening. Your mind is on the Lord. Finally, the bell rings, signaling the midday meal. It is a welcome interruption, a structured event in a day of unstructured, anxious waiting. You join the silent, rustling procession of silk as you and the other ladies make your way to the communal dining chamber. The room is another masterpiece of minimalist beauty. There are no great, heavy tables. Instead, a series of small, individual black lacquer trays are arranged in perfect, symmetrical rows on the clean tatami mat floor. Each tray is a work of art in itself, holding a set of exquisite, delicate porcelain bowls, a pair of slender chopsticks resting on a ceramic holder, and a single, folded piece of clean paper. As always, the seating is a silent, brutal, and public declaration of the current hierarchy. The senior ladies-in-waiting preside at the head of the room. The concubines are arranged in two long facing rows, their position determined by the ever-shifting tides of the Lord's favor. You see with a pang of envy that Lady Kaede's cushion is 2 places closer to the head of the room than yours. You take your designated place, sinking to your knees with a practiced grace, and arrange your magnificent 12-layered kimono around you. The meal itself is a performance, another test of your refinement and self-control. Young serving girls, their movements silent and fluid, bring in the food. It is not a hearty, steaming feast. It is a work of art, a series of small, perfect, and beautiful dishes designed to delight the eye as much as the palate. There is a small bowl of clear, fragrant soup with a single, perfect mushroom floating in its center. It is a small, perfectly grilled piece of river fish, its skin crisp and shining. There is a collection of tiny, exquisitely sliced pickled vegetables, arranged like a colorful mosaic. And there is a small bowl of pure, white, perfectly steamed rice. The etiquette of eating is as rigid and as complex as the tea ceremony. You must lift your bowl to your mouth with a specific, graceful gesture. Your chopsticks must be held with a delicate precision. You must not make a single sound as you eat. No clinking of the chopsticks against the bowl, no slurping of the soup. And you must eat with a slow, deliberate, and almost meditative grace. But this meal is not about nourishment, and it is not about the art of eating. It is about one thing and one thing only. It is about the waiting. The air in the beautiful, silent room is thick with an almost unbearable, unspoken tension. Every woman here, from the highest-ranking concubine to the lowest, is consumed by a single, desperate, and all-consuming hope. It is the hope of a summons. This meal is the traditional time. It is the time when the great lord from his own apartments in the world of men might send a sign, a signal of his favor, an indication of which woman he has chosen to share his company with for the night. To be chosen is to be elevated, to be validated, to be given a chance to secure your position in this treacherous, competitive world. To be ignored is to be cast back into the shadows, to face another long night of lonely insignificance. And so, as you perform the flawless, mechanical ballet of eating, your mind is a storm of frantic, hopeful anxiety. You are replaying your morning's performance in your head. Was my calligraphy good enough? Did he hear a report of my skill? You think of the color of your kimono, the winter plum theme. It is a poetic and intelligent choice. Surely, he will appreciate its subtlety. You are an artist, a scholar, a musician, and you are desperately, silently, waiting for a review from the only critic in the world who matters. The tension is a living thing in the room. The women eat in a profound, almost religious silence, their faces perfect, serene, and unreadable masks. But you can feel the silent, desperate prayer that radiates from every single one of them. You are all rivals in this silent, agonizing lottery. You are all constantly, secretly, looking for clues. You see one of the senior ladies in waiting, the one who is closest to the Lord's mother, give a brief, almost imperceptible nod to Lady Katie. A cold wave of fear and jealousy washes over you. What did it mean? Was it a simple acknowledgement? Or was it a sign, a secret confirmation that the choice has already been made? You see a special dish, a small bowl of candied chestnuts, known to be a favorite of the Lord, being placed only on the tray of the young and beautiful Lady Suki. Is this a sign of his favor? Every tiny, insignificant detail becomes a text, a hieroglyph that you must try to decipher for a clue to your own fate. As the meal draws to its close, the tension in the room becomes almost unbearable. Every woman is now listening, not for the soft, polite conversation, but for a sound from the corridor outside, the sound of a man's footsteps, the sound of the Lord's personal chamberlain, whose arrival in the Oku at this hour can mean only one thing. He is carrying a message. He is carrying a summons. You take the final, perfect grain of rice from your bowl. You wait. You listen, but the footsteps do not come. The paper screen to the dining chamber does not slide open. The chamberlain does not appear. The meal ends in the same tense, hopeful silence in which it began. No summons has been issued. No choice has been made. A collective, almost invisible and deeply disappointed sigh seems to pass through the room. The hope that has been a bright, burning, and painful fire in your chest all day has not been extinguished. It has simply been deferred. You have not been chosen. You have not lost, but you have not won. You are left in the same agonizing and uncertain limbo as before. You rise with the other women. Your face a perfect mask of serene indifference that betrays none of the crushing disappointment in your heart. You have performed your duties. You have been beautiful. You have been graceful, and it has not been enough. You now face the long, empty, and now slightly more hopeless hours of the afternoon, with nothing to do but wait, and to prepare yourself for the final, and now even more desperate, gamble of the evening. The midday meal ends in a quiet, collective, and unspoken disappointment. No summons has come. The great lord is occupied with the affairs of his domain, with matters of war and politics, and he has not spared a thought for the 50 beautiful, accomplished, and desperately hopeful women who wait for him in the Ooku. You rise with the others, a rustling of silk and a shared invisible sigh, and you disperse back into the beautiful, silent, private, empty place. And now, deeply lonely corridors of your gilded cage. The afternoon stretches before you, a vast and empty desert of time that you must cross with a perfect, serene, and ladylike grace. There will be more lessons, in poetry, in music, but for a brief hour you are left to your own devices. The other ladies retreat to their chambers to rest, to practice their arts, or to engage in the quiet, whispered conspiracies that are the lifeblood of this place. But you feel a sudden, desperate need for air, for a different view. You cannot bear the thought of sitting in your own small, perfect, paper-walled room, listening to the secrets of your rivals. You need to see the sky. You make your way, your steps a slow and silent shuffle, to a high, secluded veranda at the northernmost edge of the women's quarters. This is the one place in the Ooku that offers a view not of a serene, manicured garden, but of the outer world. It is the closest you can ever get to the world you have been forever banished from. You step out onto the polished, wooden veranda. The afternoon sun is warm, and the air is clean and clear. From here you can look down, over the inner walls of the palace, and into the great, dusty expanse of the main daily, the castle's central courtyard. It is the world of men, and it is a different universe. The first thing you notice is the sound. Your world, the Ooku, is a world of whispers, of the rustle of silk, of the soft plucking of a kodo. The world below is a world of loud, harsh, and purposeful noise. You can hear the rhythmic, ringing clang of the blacksmith's hammer from the forge. You can hear the sharp, percussive thud of arrows hitting a straw target at the archery range. You can hear the stamping and snorting of the great war horses in the stables. And you can hear the voices of the men, not the quiet, poetic murmurs of your world, but loud, guttural, and unrestrained shouts, punctuated by bursts of rough, booming laughter. Then you see them. A group of your lord's samurai, his personal guard, are in the center of the courtyard, practicing their swordsmanship. They are dressed not in their formal silken court attire, but in simple, functional cotton hakama. They are stripped to the waist, their muscular bodies gleaming with sweat in the sun. You watch, mesmerized, from your high, safe, and distant perch. You watch as two of them engage in a mock duel with heavy, wooden practice swords, the Bakken. Their movements are a breathtaking and terrifying display of power and grace. They are a blur of focused, violent motion. You see the incredible strength in their shoulders as they swing the heavy swords. You see the speed of their feet as they dodge and weave. You hear the sharp, violent clack as their wooden swords meet, a sound that makes you flinch even from this distance. And you hear their ki, the sharp, explosive shout that comes from the gut with every strike, a sound of pure, focused, and violent intent. They are sweating. They are grunting with effort. They are covered in the honest dirt and dust of the practice yard. Their movements are large, explosive, and utterly free. And as you watch them, the profound and absolute reality of your own confinement descends upon you like a physical weight. Their world is a world of noise. Yours is one of silence. Their world is one of explosive, purposeful motion. Yours is one of serene, restrictive stillness. Their world is one of sweat, of dirt, of the honest, physical reality of the body. Yours is one of paint, of powder, of a body that is hidden, bound, and erased beneath 12 layers of silk. Their battles are fought with steel, in the open, under the sun. Your battles are fought with whispers, with glances, with the subtle poison of a well-timed word, in the silent, paper-walled shadows. You look down at your own hands, held perfectly still in your lap. Then you look back at the warriors below, at their freedom, at their power, at their sheer, unself-conscious physicality. and you are filled with a strange, forbidden, and deeply unsettling flicker of longing. It is not a longing to be a warrior. It is a longing to be real, a longing to run, to shout, to sweat, to move your own body with a purpose that is not merely decorative. It is a longing to exist in the world, not just as a beautiful, silent object to be admired from a distance. You finally understand your true role in this great, feudal machine, the quiet, beautiful, and deeply ordered world of the Ooku, the world of women, exists as a necessary and perfect contrast to the loud, chaotic, and violent world of the samurai. You are the symbol of the peace, the culture, and the refinement that they fight and die to protect. You are the prize. You are the treasure at the heart of the fortress, and a treasure you now realize must be kept locked away in its beautiful, elegant, and inescapable box. You hear a soft, shuffling footstep on the veranda behind you. It is your handmaiden, Kiku. She bows low. "My lady," she says, her voice a soft, respectful whisper. "It is time for your poetry lesson." The moment of private, dangerous reflection is over. You must turn your back on the world of men, on the brief, intoxicating glimpse of a different, freer kind of life. You take one last look down at the sparring samurai, at their sweat and their dust, and their glorious, terrible freedom. Then you turn, your face once again a perfect, serene, and utterly unreadable mask, and you glide back into the beautiful, silent, and suffocating heart of your paper-walled prison. The moment of quiet, dangerous reflection at the veranda is over. You return to the Hall of the Seven Arts, your face a perfect, serene mask that betrays nothing of the profound and unsettling longing you just experienced. The poetry lesson begins. You kneel before a low lacquer table, a brush in your hand, and you are commanded to compose a tanka, a perfect 5-line poem on the theme of the first snow on a lonely mountain. It is another test, another battle in the silent, aesthetic war of the Ooku. You must compose a poem that is beautiful, that adheres to the strict 5-7-5-7-7 syllable structure, that is filled with the correct, elegant, and seasonal allusions, and that is, above all, a reflection of a gentle, modest, and suitably feminine soul. You write of the snow's purity, of its quiet descent, of its gentle covering of the hard, black rock. Your rival, Lady Kaidi, writes a poem that is technically brilliant, but which, you note with a secret professional satisfaction, lacks a true heart. You have, perhaps, won this small, silent skirmish. The long afternoon of elegant labor finally ends. As the sun begins to set, the world outside the castle walls is painted in the soft, melancholic colors of twilight. But inside the Ooku, the day is not ending. The most important and most stressful part of it is just beginning. The evening is the time of the Lord. It is the time when he will relax from his own duties of war and politics. It is the time when he might seek companionship, when he might summon one of the beautiful, accomplished, and desperately hopeful women of his court to his private chambers. The morning was a rehearsal. The afternoon was a series of preliminary tests. The evening is the true performance, and for that, you must be rebuilt. You return to your own chamber. The magnificent 12-layered kimono you have worn all day, a masterpiece of winter plum, is a relic of the morning. It will not do for the evening. The faint sheen on your white makeup has faded. Your perfectly sculpted hair may have a single, rebellious strand that has come loose. You must be completely and utterly deconstructed and then reconstructed into a new, even more magnificent vision. The ritual begins again, but this time with an even greater sense of urgency and purpose. This is not just a daily routine. This is the preparation for a potential command performance. First, a bath. Not the simple cold ablutions of the morning. This is a luxury, a tool of your trade. Your handmaiden Kiku directs the junior maids as they bring in a large, deep wooden tub and fill it, bucket by painstaking bucket, with steaming hot water. The water is scented not with simple flowers, but with fragrant powdered iris root and shavings of sandalwood, creating a warm, milky, and deeply perfumed bath designed to soften your skin and leave it with a lingering, beautiful scent. You sink into the hot water, and the relief to your aching, tense muscles is so profound, it is almost a spiritual experience, but it is a brief respite. After the bath, the entire, long and arduous process of beautification begins anew. You sit a clean and naked canvas, and Kiku begins to build. First, the sticky, waxy primer of Bensuke Abuda. Then, the slow, meticulous painting of the white porcelain mask of Oshiroi. Then, the delicate abstract smudges of the Hikimayu eyebrows, and the perfect, small crimson bud of the lips. Then come the clothes. The theme for the evening is moonlit night. The underrobes are a new symphony of color, shades of deep indigo, of silver gray, of a pale moon-like yellow. The outer kimono itself is a masterpiece of the weaver's art. It is a heavy, dark, almost black silk brocade, but woven into it with pure silver thread is a magnificent, intricate pattern of clouds and a single full moon. In the dim, flickering light of the evening's candles, the silver threads will catch the light, making you seem as though you are draped in the night sky itself. The heavy, brocaded obi is tied. It's not even more intricate than the morning's, a final, breathtakingly tight cage for your torso, and your hair, which was unbound for the bath, is now recombed, rewaxed, and resculpted into its perfect, rigid, and architectural form, this time adorned with new kanzashi pins of silver and mother of pearl that glitter like stars in the dark, shining mass of your hair. The entire process takes nearly 3 hours. It is a marathon of painting, of pinning, of lacing, of layering. And as you sit through it, your mind is a storm of frantic, desperate hope. The disappointment of the midday meal is a fading memory, replaced by the fresh, powerful, and all-consuming hope of the evening. This is your last chance. This is the moment. You are making yourself into a perfect, irresistible work of art, and you are doing it all for an audience of one. You are acutely aware that in a dozen other silent, paper-walled rooms up and down this corridor, your rivals are undergoing the exact same painstaking and hopeful transformation. It is a silent, parallel, and deeply competitive race to see who can be the most beautiful, the most perfect, the most desirable. Finally, the reconstruction is complete. You look in the bronze mirror. The woman you see is a creature of the night, a vision of dark silks and shimmering silver. Your white face a luminous, floating moon in the darkness. You are, you know with a quiet professional satisfaction, perfect. You glide from your chamber and take your designated place for the evening's entertainment. You kneel on your cushion, a flawless, finished jewel, and you begin the final, most difficult, and most agonizing part of your day, the waiting. You kneel on the silk cushion, a perfect, motionless, and magnificent creature of the night. You are a jewel, carefully placed in the elaborate setting of the Ooku's great evening hall. The room is a world of breathtaking, calculated beauty. The only light comes from a score of tall, paper-sided lanterns, the andon, which cast a soft, warm, and deeply mysterious glow. The light is gentle and forgiving, designed to make every woman's painted face look more ethereal. Every silk kimono seemed to shimmer with a life of its own. You and the 40 other concubines are arranged in two long, silent, and perfectly straight rows on the tatami mat floor. You are a garden of impossible human flowers, a silent, beautiful, and deeply competitive collection of your lord's most prized possessions. The air is thick with the scent of expensive incense, of the perfume from your own bodies, and of the profound, unspoken, and almost unbearable tension of a room full of rivals. The evening's entertainment begins. Tonight it is a performance of a no play, a slow, minimalist, and deeply symbolic form of theater. Two musicians take their places at the side of the room, one with a small hand drum, the other with a bamboo flute. An actor, his own face hidden behind the pale, serene, and otherworldly mask of a beautiful female ghost, glides onto the polished wooden floor that serves as a stage. His movements are slow, stylized, and almost hypnotically graceful. The flute begins a high, lonely, and mournful melody. The actor's voice, when he chants his lines, is a deep, resonant, and otherworldly sound. He tells a sad, ancient story of a forgotten love and a lingering spirit. It is a performance of the most refined and subtle art, and you are not watching it. Your body is a perfect model of an attentive and appreciative audience. Your posture is perfect. Your hands are folded in your lap. Your face, your perfect white mask, is tilted towards the actor with an expression of serene, intelligent focus. But your mind, your true self, is elsewhere. It is engaged in a different, much more immediate, and far more important drama. You are acutely aware of the great, painted screen that stands on a raised dais at the head of the room. It is a magnificent object, a masterpiece of gold leaf and black lacquer. But it is not just a decoration, it is a blind. For you know that behind that screen, in the hidden, elevated chamber of the Chodai Gamai, sits the Lord, your master, your audience of one. He is there, a silent, invisible, and all-powerful presence, looking out at you through the thin, painted silk. You cannot see him, but you can feel his gaze. You can feel him watching, studying, judging. The entire beautiful and serene scene in this lantern-lit room, the play, the music, the silent, kneeling garden of beautiful women, it is all a performance for him. Every woman in this room, while pretending to be engrossed in the sad story of the ghost on the stage, is in fact performing for the silent ghost behind the screen. She is intensely aware that her every posture, her every tiny, graceful movement is being weighed and appraised. And so you wait. The true drama of the night is not the play. The true drama is the agonizing, silent, and all-consuming hope for a summons. You know how it will happen. At some point during the evening, the Lord will make his choice. He will give a quiet, non-verbal signal to his personal chamberlain, who waits with him in the hidden chamber. And the chamberlain will emerge. He will step out from behind the screen, his soft-soled slippers making no sound on the wooden floor. He will glide, a silent ghost of fate, through the rows of kneeling women, and he will stop behind one of you. He will lean in and whisper a single, quiet, and life-altering command. Your mind is a storm of frantic, desperate hope. You have done everything perfectly today. Your calligraphy was flawless. Your flower arrangement was a masterpiece of subtle beauty. Your kimono, with its theme of the moonlit night, is a work of poetic genius. Surely, tonight will be your night. The hope is a physical thing, a tight, painful, and almost breathless knot in your chest. You are listening with a supernatural intensity, not to the flute, but for the faint, almost inaudible rustle of the silk screen at the head of the room. The no play reaches its slow, tragic climax. The ghost, her story told, fades back into the world of shadows. The actor glides from the stage. The music fades into a profound and deeply tense silence. And then you hear it. It is the sound you have been waiting for all night. A soft, almost imperceptible rustling sound from the great painted screen at the head of the room. A collective, invisible wave of pure concentrated tension washes through the assembled women. You can feel it. Every woman in the room has stopped breathing. The screen slides open a few inches, and from the darkness behind it, the figure of the Lord's Chamberlain emerges. He is an old man, his face a web of impassive wrinkles. He steps down from the dais and begins to walk, his movements slow and deliberate, through the silent rows of the kneeling concubines. Your heart is a wild, frantic drum, so loud you are certain the woman next to you can hear it. You keep your eyes fixed on the floor, your face a perfect mask of serene calm. You are a statue, waiting to be chosen. The Chamberlain's soft, shuffling footsteps draw closer. He is passing your row. He is passing you. The hope is a searing, white-hot fire. And then the footsteps stop. The Chamberlain's soft, shuffling footsteps come to a halt. The entire, silent, perfumed world of the Ooku seems to hold its breath. 49 beautiful, painted, and perfectly composed women are frozen in a state of the most intense and excruciating suspense, their heads bowed, their ears straining in the absolute silence. Your own heart is a wild, frantic thing, a trapped bird beating against the cage of your ribs. You are a statue of pure, desperate hope. Your entire being focused on the space directly behind you, praying for the whisper that will change your life. The footsteps have not stopped behind you. With a sickening, plunging feeling in the pit of your stomach, a feeling of pure, cold dread, you realize he has passed you. He has moved further down the row, and he has stopped. Not behind your great rival, the ambitious Lady Kaede, which would have been a bitter but understandable defeat. He has stopped 2 places down from you. He has stopped behind Lady Suki. She is the youngest of the high-ranking concubines, a girl of only 16, who has been at court for less than a year. She is beautiful, yes, with a fragile, doe-eyed innocence that the Lord has recently found captivating. She is the new favorite, and in this silent, brutal, and unforgiving world, that makes her the enemy of every other woman in this room. You remain perfectly still, your forehead pressed to the cool tatami mat, but you risk a tiny, almost imperceptible shift of your eyes. You can just make out the scene. You see the dark, formal robes of the old Chamberlain as he leans down, his face close to Lady Suki's ear. You cannot hear the words he whispers, but you know them by heart. It is the summons. It is the voice of fate. The Lord requests your presence in his chambers. You see Lady Suki's body give a single, almost invisible flinch. You see her slender shoulders tremble for a fraction of a second beneath her magnificent silk kimono. Her reaction is not one of triumphant, gloating joy. It is a reaction of pure, terrified awe. She has just been chosen. The great celestial lottery of the night is over, and she is the winner. And you know with a certainty that is as cold and as hard as a winter stone, that the prize is not just a night of pleasure, but a heavy, dangerous, and incredibly lonely burden. With a fluid, graceful, and perfectly executed movement that belies the storm of emotion you know must be raging within her, Lady Suki rises to her feet. The other women in her row, their own faces perfect, serene masks, subtly shift their positions, moving their lavishly decorated knees to give her a clear path. She does not look at any of you. She keeps her eyes demurely downcast. She is now a sacred object, a vessel chosen for the Lord's pleasure. and she has already been set apart from the rest of you. She glides out of the room, a silent, beautiful ghost, following the old chamberlain. The paper shoji screen slides shut behind her with a soft, final, and deeply unforgiving sound. She is gone. The choice has been made. The moment the screen closes, a silent, collective, and almost physical wave of profound and bitter disappointment washes through the 49 remaining women in the room. The great, invisible string of tension that has held you all in a state of almost unbearable suspense for the entire day has been cut. The lottery is over, and you have all lost. The bright, burning, and painful fire of hope that has been the secret center of your being all day is instantly extinguished. In its place is a cold, heavy, and greasy ash of pure failure. You have endured the pain of the plucking, the discomfort of the heavy wig, the constriction of the kimono. You have performed your arts with a flawless, practiced perfection. You have been a beautiful, silent, and perfect object, and it has all been for nothing. It has all been in vain. But this is the final, and perhaps the cruelest, test of your discipline. You must not, under any circumstances, allow a single flicker of this crushing disappointment to show on your face. You must remain a perfect, serene, and untroubled work of art. To show jealousy, to show anger, to show the raw, ugly face of your own ambition would be a catastrophic failure of etiquette. It would mark you as an unrefined, grasping, and unworthy woman. And so, you keep your forehead pressed to the floor, your face a mask of placid indifference, of a woman who is perfectly content with her lot, a woman who is above such petty, worldly competitions. It is the most difficult and most painful performance of the entire day. The formal entertainment is now, for all intents and purposes, over. The senior lady-in-waiting gives a quiet signal. The no play was a mere pretext, and its purpose is now served. The women begin to rise, their movements still graceful, but now lacking the tense, hopeful energy of before. They are a defeated army, retreating from the field. You rise with them. You risk a glance at your great rival, Lady Kaede. Her face, too, is a perfect porcelain mask of serene and elegant calm. But you are an expert in reading the subtle language of this world. And in the hard, cold, and almost reptilian glitter of her eyes, you see a flash of the same furious, impotent rage that is in your own heart. For a single fleeting second, the two of you are not rivals, but allies, united in your shared and bitter failure. The night's great battle is over. The Lord has made his choice, and it was not you. You turn, a magnificent, beautiful, and now utterly pointless work of art, and you begin the long, lonely, and deeply humiliating walk back to your own small, empty, and silent paper-walled chamber. The Lord has made his choice, and it was not you. The words are not spoken, but the truth of them is a cold, heavy, and undeniable presence in the great evening hall. The young, beautiful, and newly favored Lady Suki has been summoned and has departed, a single chosen ghost, leaving the rest of you, the 49 unchosen, in a silent, beautiful, and deeply humiliating tableau of failure. A senior lady-in-waiting gives a quiet, almost imperceptible signal. The evening's entertainment is over. The great, unspoken competition has concluded, and now a new and terrible procession begins. The walk of the defeated. You rise to your feet, your movements as slow, as graceful, and as perfectly controlled as ever. Your face is a serene, white, and utterly unreadable mask. You are a consummate professional. You will not give your rivals the satisfaction of seeing your disappointment. You join the silent, rustling river of silk as the other concubines begin to file out of the hall. The journey back through the quiet, lantern-lit corridors of the Oku is a mirror image of the procession from this morning. But where the morning's walk was filled with a tense, sharp, and almost painful hope, this journey is filled with a thick, heavy, and suffocating blanket of failure. The magnificent, multi-layered kimonos, which seemed like the glorious armor of competitors just a few hours ago, now seem like the heavy, ceremonial robes of a funeral procession. The rustle of the fine silk is no longer a sound of promise. It is the dry, sad sound of ghosts. You arrive at the paper screen of your own chamber. You slide it open and step inside, into the small, perfect, and now profoundly lonely world of your own room. A single, soft lantern glows in the corner, casting long, gentle shadows across the tatami mats. Your handmaiden, the young Kiku, is waiting for you, kneeling silently in the center of the room. She does not look up as you enter, but you can see the slight, defeated slump of her shoulders. She knows your failure is her failure. Your lonely night is her lonely night. You glide to the center of the room and you kneel on your silk cushion, your back to her. The silence in the room is absolute, broken only by the faint, distant sound of a flute being played, a happy, lilting melody from the direction of the main castle keep. It is the sound of the Lord being entertained. It is the sound of another woman's victory, a sound that is a tiny, sharp, bitter sound. And exquisitely painful dagger in your own heart. You sit there, a perfect, beautiful, and utterly rejected work of art, and your mind becomes a torture chamber of your own making. The great, unspoken, and agonizing question begins to beat against the inside of your skull, a frantic, trapped bird. Why? Why not me? You begin a meticulous, ruthless, and unforgiving analysis of your entire day's performance, searching for the flaw, for the mistake, for the single, fatal error that led to this defeat. Was it the calligraphy? You replay the morning's lesson in your mind. You picture your character for winter. Was the final stroke a fraction of an inch too heavy? Did it betray an aggression, a lack of the proper feminine gentleness? You remember the subtle, poisoned compliment from Lady Kaede. The strength of a great pine, she had said. Was she right? Were you too strong? Was it the kimono? You look down at the magnificent silver-threaded silk that surrounds you, the moonlit night theme. Was it too somber? Too melancholic? You think of Lady Suki, of the simple, almost girlish cherry blossom pattern on her gown. Was the Lord in a mood for simplicity, for a reminder of spring? And was your own complex poetic statement of a winter's night simply too intelligent, too sad? Was it the conversation with Lady Kaede? Did her subtle, venomous words somehow find their mark? Did she, after you had parted, whisper some new poison into the ear of a senior lady-in-waiting? A rumor that was then passed along to the Lord's Chamberlain? The possibilities are a torment, 1,000 tiny, sharp-edged knives of self-recrimination. You are consumed by a profound and bitter sense of injustice. You think of the young Lady Suki. Her skills in the arts are a joke. Her poetry is simple. Her calligraphy is clumsy. Her performance in the tea ceremony is full of hesitant, ungraceful movements. You are her superior in every way that is supposed to matter in this world. You are more intelligent, more cultured, more refined. You are a masterpiece of 1,000 hours of painstaking work. She is a simple, pretty, and uninteresting flower, and the Lord has chosen the flower. You are filled with a deep and chilling sense of futility. You have spent your entire day, your entire life, honing your skills, enduring the pain of your beautification, mastering the 1,000 intricate rules of this gilded cage, all to compete in a game where the rules, in the end, are utterly arbitrary, and where the victory can be stolen away at any moment by the simple, infuriating novelty of a new, young, and pretty face. You sit in the silence, a magnificent and pointless creation. The long, exhausting day of hope has ended in absolute, undeniable failure. You have lost tonight's battle. The silent war of the Ooku continues, but tonight you are a casualty. After a long, silent eternity, you give a quiet, almost imperceptible signal. It is a slight lowering of your head. Kiku, your handmaiden, understands. It is the signal of surrender. It is the command to begin the long, sad, and laborious process of deconstruction. The evening is over. It is time to be unmade. You give the small, quiet signal of surrender, a slight lowering of your head, and your handmaiden, Kiku, understands. The performance is over. The long, hopeful, and ultimately fruitless day has come to its end. And now, the magnificent work of art that took so many hours and so much pain to construct must be painstakingly and methodically dismantled. The process of the undoing begins. It is the mirror image of the morning's ritual, but where the morning was filled with a tense, sharp, and ambitious energy, the evening is a ceremony of profound, quiet, and weary melancholy. Kiku moves with the same silent, graceful efficiency, but her movements now seem not like the work of an artist, but of a priestess preparing a sacred object for storage, its purpose for the day now fulfilled and forgotten. The deconstruction begins with the heaviest and most constricting of your cages, the kimono. You rise and stand in the center of the room, your arms held slightly out, a living mannequin once more. Kiku moves behind you and begins the long, complex, and difficult process of untying the great, brocaded knot of the obi. Her fingers work with a practiced skill, loosening the stiff, thick silk, and as the final knot is undone and the immense pressure on your torso is released, you let out a long, shuddering, and involuntary sigh. It is the first deep breath you have taken in nearly 10 hours. The feeling is one of both exquisite relief and a strange, sudden emptiness. The rigid architectural support that has held you in a state of perfect, regal posture all day is gone, and your own weary muscles now have to bear your weight. One by one, Kiku lifts the layers of heavy silk from your shoulders. The outer jacket, the karaginu, with its gold brocade, the magnificent silver-threaded uwagi, your beautiful moonlit night robe, which now seems like a cruel joke, the 5 layers of the uchigi, the beautiful poetic rainbow of plum-colored silks. Each layer that is removed is a weight, both literal and metaphorical, being lifted from your soul. The magnificent, colorful, and triumphant creature you were this evening is being peeled away, layer by layer, revealing the simpler, paler, and more fragile woman beneath. Next comes the hair. You kneel again on the silk cushion, and Kiku takes up her tools. Not the waxes and the sculpting combs of the morning, but a simple, small bow. She begins the painstaking process of removing the dozens of pins that hold the great, waxed, and sculpted edifice of your hair in place. The long, decorative kanzashi of silver and mother-of-pearl are slid out first, their beauty now seeming hollow and pointless. Then come the simple, sharp, bone pins that formed the true, structural heart of the hairstyle. Each pin that is removed is a small release of the agonizing, pulling tension on your scalp. Finally, the structure is loose. Kiku begins to gently, carefully undo the knots and the loops, but the hair does not fall into a soft, natural cascade. It is a stiff, heavy, and greasy thing, its texture waxy and unnatural from the Binsukeabura pomade. A full washing is too laborious a task for the end of such a long and disappointing day. The wax will remain until the morning. Your hair is undone, but it is not yet free. Now comes the final and most intimate stage of the deconstruction. It is time to remove the mask. Kiku brings the familiar basin of warm water and the pot of thick, greasy ointment. She takes a soft linen cloth, and she begins the harsh scrubbing process of dissolving the white lead oshiroi. You close your eyes. You feel the greasy ointment being smeared over your face, a disgusting but necessary solvent. You feel the rough, repetitive rubbing of the cloth as Kiku works to break down the hard, porcelain-like shell you have worn all day. You see on the cloth the residue of your own beauty. It is a thick, gray, and unlovely sludge, a mixture of lead, rice powder, wax, and the day's grime. The brilliant crimson red of your lips, the pigment that was meant to look like a perfect living flower bud, is wiped away, leaving behind a smear of ugly, brownish red on the cloth. The dark, mysterious, and entirely artificial eyebrows that floated so serenely on your forehead are smudged into non-existence with a single, firm wipe. When the last of the paint has been scrubbed away, your face is left feeling hot, raw, and painfully sensitive. You are no longer the serene, perfect, and untouchable work of art. You are a woman with a sore, red face. The long, lonely process of the undoing is complete. You have been stripped, unpinned, and scoured. The magnificent, glittering, and hopeful creature who entered the evening hall has been completely dismantled, her armor removed, her colors wiped away. And in her place is this, a tired, simple woman in a plain linen nightrobe, her hair a stiff, waxy memory of its former glory, her face aching and raw. You sit in the center of your small, quiet room. You are surrounded by the evidence of your failed campaign. The magnificent kimono, now a folded pile of silk in its chest. The beautiful, glittering hairpins, now lying silent and inert in their wooden box. The pot of gray, sullied water. You have been unmade, and the physical relief of being free from your cage is now completely overwhelmed by a deep, cold, and hollow sense of your own failure. You were a perfect object, and you were not chosen. You give a quiet, dismissive wave of your hand. Tiku, your silent accomplice in both your construction and your deconstruction, gives a final, deep bow and slides the paper screen to your chamber shut, leaving you, for the first time all day, truly and completely alone with your defeat. The paper screen slides shut with a soft, final rustle. Your handmaiden, Kiku, is gone, and for the first time since you were woken by a sound in the pre-dawn darkness, you are truly and completely alone. The silence that descends upon your small chamber is a profound and almost shocking thing. It is a silence that is deeper than the practiced, tense quiet of the lesson rooms or the respectful, waiting quiet of the evening hall. This is the silence of solitude, a state so rare in your crowded and constantly observed existence that it feels both like a precious gift and a terrifying void. You remain kneeling on the silk cushion in the center of the room, a lonely figure in a simple white linen nightrobe. The only light is from a single paper-sided lantern, an andon, in the corner, its flame casting a soft, warm, and gentle glow that makes the room feel like a fragile, paper-walled cocoon. The magnificent, silver-threaded kimono, the armor you wore in your failed battle, lies in a dark, shimmering heap where Kiku has folded it, waiting to be put away. The pots of white and red paint and the fearsome eyebrow razor have been cleared away. The beautiful, terrible illusion has been completely dismantled, and you are all that is left. You look around at your small, perfect room. You look at the clean, pale gold of the tatami mats, at the single, perfect, and lonely crane painted on the scroll in the alcove. You look at the delicate, latticed wood and the translucent paper of the shoji screens that are your only walls, and you are filled with a profound and crushing understanding of the central metaphor of your own life. You are a creature who lives in a beautiful, elegant, and fragile paper box. The paper walls are a perfect shield for the eyes. They grant you the illusion of privacy, but they are no shield for the ears. They are thin membranes designed to transmit every sound, every secret whisper, every ghost of a movement from the world outside. And now, in the deep quiet of your lonely room, you begin to listen. You can hear the soft, shuffling footsteps of a guard on his nightly patrol in the corridor outside. You can hear the distant, mournful cry of a nightbird from the castle gardens. And then you hear another sound. It is a faint and almost imperceptible sound, a sound so distant it is more a feeling than a noise. But you hear it. It is the sound of music, the high, sweet, and happy melody of a single bamboo flute, carried on the cold night air from the main keep of the castle, from the direction of the lord's private apartments, and woven into the sound of the flute, you think you can hear something else, a sound that makes your heart clench into a small, cold, and painful knot. It is the sound of a woman's gentle, happy laughter. It is the sound of Lady Suki. It is the sound of victory. It is the sound of your own failure. That distant, beautiful music is a form of torture more exquisite and more painful than any physical punishment. It is a constant, lilting reminder that while you are here, alone in your silent, paper-walled room, another woman is being celebrated. Another woman is receiving the favor, the attention, and the affection of the Lord. You rise from your cushion, and in the secret, absolute privacy of your own chamber, you begin a small, silent rebellion. You begin to do all the things that are forbidden. You stretch. You raise your arms high above your head, a great, deep, and satisfying stretch that arches your back and pulls at the muscles that have been held in a state of rigid, disciplined stillness all day. The movement feels impossibly, wonderfully free. You walk, not with the tiny, shuffling, gliding steps of a court lady, but with long, human, and improper strides. You pace the length of your small room, back and forth. The feeling of your own legs moving with purpose, a strange and exhilarating sensation. You go to the polished bronze mirror. You look at your own reflection in its dark, warped surface. And you allow your face, for the first time all day, to tell the truth. You let the serene, placid mask dissolve. You let your mouth, which has been held in a small, perfect, and false smile, turn down in a grimace of pure, unadulterated disappointment. You let your brow, which has been a smooth and empty canvas, furrow with a deep, burning anger and a bitter, resentful frustration. And then you allow a single, hot, and salty tear to well up in your eye, to trace a slow, stinging path down your raw and tender cheek, and to fall with a soft, silent splash onto the tatami mat below. It is a tear for your own failure. It is a tear for the injustice of it all. And it is a tear for the profound, inescapable loneliness of your existence. You on a bird in a gilded cage. You are fed the finest millet. You are admired for your beautiful plumage, but you will never, ever be allowed to fly. Your entire life is a state of perpetual, elegant, and beautifully decorated waiting. Waiting to be noticed. Waiting to be chosen. Waiting for your small, fleeting, and glorious moment in the sun. And tonight, the sun has chosen to shine on a different flower. You blow out the flame in your paper lantern, and the room is plunged into a deep and welcoming darkness. You slide open a small screen and retrieve your futon, unrolling it onto the floor. You lie down, pulling the heavy silk comforter over you. The distant, happy sound of the flute from the Lord's chambers is the last thing you hear as you close your eyes. You are a beautiful, accomplished, and utterly powerless woman. The feeling of failure is absolute. You have lost. All that is left now is the faint, foolish, and stubbornly resilient hope that you will be given a chance to fight and to win again tomorrow. You lie on your futon in the deep, profound, and absolute darkness of your chamber. The distant, happy sound of the flute from the Lord's apartments has long since faded into silence. The entire castle is now asleep. The only one awake in this silent, paper-walled world is you and your failure. The night is a long and lonely country, and you are its sole inhabitant. In the silent darkness, there is no performance to maintain, no rivals to deceive, no masters to please. There is only you and the raw, unfiltered truth of your own crushing disappointment. You replay every moment of the long, exhausting day in your mind, a cruel and merciless self-interrogation. The calligraphy lesson was your final brushstroke too bold, betraying an unseemly ambition. The poetry lesson. Was your verse on the winter snow too melancholic, a sign of a sad and undesirable spirit? You analyze the polite, poisonous words of your rival, Lady Kaidi. You dissect every glance from the senior ladies in waiting. You are a general, refighting a lost battle in your mind, searching for the single, fatal mistake that led to your defeat. The futility of it all is a heavy, suffocating blanket. You have spent your entire life honing these arts, disciplining your body and your mind into a perfect instrument of grace and refinement. And for what? To be passed over for a young, simple girl whose only true skill is the fleeting, accidental beauty of her youth. A profound and weary sense of despair washes over you. Your life is a game whose rules are arbitrary, whose judge is capricious, and whose prize is a fleeting moment of favor in a world of endless competition. You are a bird in a gilded cage. You are a priceless work of art, kept locked away in a silent, beautiful room. And tonight, the collector has chosen to admire a different painting. But as the night wears on, as the deepest, darkest hour before the dawn arrives, something inside you begins to shift. The hot, emotional, and deeply personal pain of the failure begins to cool and to harden. The grief recedes, and in its place, something else begins to rise. It is the cold, hard, and deeply practical mind of the strategist. You stop thinking about your own hurt feelings, and you begin to analyze your defeat with a cool, professional detachment. You are a warrior in a silent war, and you have just lost a battle. You have not lost the war. A true warrior does not despair after a single loss. She studies the tactics of her enemy, she adapts, and she prepares for the next engagement. You begin to think about Lady Suki. What is the source of her current power? It is her youth, her simplicity, her artless, wide-eyed innocence. The Lord, you realize, is a man of moods. For months, he has favored the sophisticated, poetic, and melancholic beauty of women like you and Lady Kaidi. But tastes change. Perhaps he has grown weary of your complex intellectual beauty. Perhaps for now, he craves something simpler, something more refreshing, and in that realization, a new plan. A new strategy begins to form in your mind. If the Lord now desires simplicity, then you will give him simplicity. You have been fighting this war with the wrong weapons. Your deep knowledge of ancient poetry, your skill in complex calligraphy, these are the weapons of a different season. You must adapt your strategy to the current climate. Tomorrow, you decide, will be different. In the morning greeting, you will wear a kimono, not of a complex, poetic theme like moonlit night, but one of a simpler, more vibrant color. A pale, cheerful green, perhaps, the color of new spring leaves. In the poetry lesson, you will not compose a sad, complex verse about a lonely mountain. You will compose a simple, charming, and almost childlike poem about a dragonfly. You will change your performance. You will be less of the serene, mysterious, and intellectual artist. You will be more of the charming, graceful, and refreshingly simple girl. This is not a hope for love. You have long since abandoned such childish notions. This is the cold, hard, and deeply empowering hope of a skilled professional who has analyzed a failure, identified a new market trend, and is now adapting her product to meet the demand. It is the hope of a general who has lost a battle and is now, in the quiet of her tent, drawing a new map for the next day's campaign. The first, pale, and ghostly light of dawn begins to filter through your paper screen. You have survived the long, dark night of your own despair. The pain of your failure is still there, a hard, cold stone in your heart. But it has now been joined by a new and more powerful feeling, a feeling of cold, quiet, and absolute resolve. You rise from your futon. The distant bell for the morning's activities is about to ring. You look at your reflection in the dark, polished surface of your bronze mirror. The face that looks back at you is not the face of a defeated, weeping girl. It is the face of a quiet, determined, and dangerously resilient warrior. The silent, beautiful, and endless war of the Ouku has begun again. And today, you will fight with new weapons. And here, in the cold gray light of a new day, we leave her, a woman in a paper-walled prison, her heart filled with a cold and lonely hope, preparing herself for another day of silent, vicious, and beautiful warfare. The story of the feudal Japanese concubine is not a story of romance or of exotic, sensual luxury. It is the story of a life of the most intense, most demanding, and most all-consuming professional and psychological labor. It was a world of profound isolation, of relentless competition, and of a constant, unending performance, where the prize was a fleeting moment of favor, and the cost was a woman's own true and authentic self. In our own modern world, we too know the pressure of the public performance, the need to present a perfect, curated, and successful version of ourselves, in the office or on our screens. The feeling of being in a constant, silent competition with our peers. The gilded cage is a powerful, ancient, and surprisingly modern idea. And now, as our story fades, it is time to let our own performances end for the day. Time to step off the stage. Time to find rest in the simple, quiet, and imperfect truth of our own being, away from the constant, judging gaze of others. Time to sleep.